So I saw this guy talking about low racial self-esteem, and I just said, "Oh, that is such a good topic. It really needs to be talked about more." And I see it all around. I really do. I see it. I see it in some black people, but I honestly feel like black people are the most advanced when it comes to having good racial self-esteem. I really do because we have, maybe because we've had the longest amount of time dealing with the rights of white supremacy, and so we've learned. But either way, we've actually started learned how to lean into our hair and loving our skin, and loving being black, because I see low racial self-esteem in all the other POCs. Let me tell you, Asians, I see it big time. They're always trying to have that proximity to whiteness. They're trying to marry white. They're trying to be white. And, you know, they're already light and they try to lighten their skin even more. It's crazy. Latinos, they even within their families, they penalize the darker skinned people and put the lighter skinned people on a pedestal, and they try to marry white and use that proximity to white and color their hair blonde and try to be as white as they can, hide their accents. And you know um Indians, they try to use that proximity to whiteness. They will paint their whole face white, like paint it. I'm just like, what did you do that for? That's not cute. No, honey. Your brown skin's beautiful. Why would you paint it like that? It's like cake paint. It's not cute. Please stop doing that. Um, please stop. But it's that proximity to whiteness that they want to live through. Um, Africans, yeah, and Caribbeans, they might look black, but they're not us. And they have that proximity to white where they just want to be accepted by white people, and just they are big at the bleaching of the skins. Like the Africans, they bleach skin like crazy. Um, and they're trying to marry white so they can have light skinned babies. And it's really sad that you would do that to a child, marry someone or have a baby with someone just for an aesthetic, you know, because you're taking children and bloodlines so lightly. You don't understand what you're doing when you're mixing those bloodlines like that. And I'm not talking about bloodlines are important. Bloodlines. I'm not talking about race, because race is not important, but bloodlines are. And so some of you guys are mixing bloodlines that you really should not be mixing. But you're not worried about anything like that. You're all about aesthetics. And then these children are growing up and they're not understanding. They're taught to hate one side of their own heritage, and they don't even know. And now they have low racial self-esteem, and it's a huge cycle. So, anyways, the world is infected with low racial self esteem, all due to white supremacy and what they've done to our minds. Honestly, quite frankly, they did quite a number on our minds. And I can say our, because me too, I've suffered from it for quite a while, but I've recognized it and I'm dealing and I'm taking it out, fixing it, correcting it, not letting it stay in my mind. When I see things that I do and I say, that's wrong, that's white supremacy, I take it out and I keep it moving. So we all are affected. If you're walking around saying you weren't affected by it, then you're probably really, really affected by it, because the truth is we all were. There was no getting around it. It was all our media, it was everything from books to TV to teachers to everything. They really MK Ultra'd us. They really did, into thinking white is great, white is white, 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 white. And so you really had no choice. We all thought that at some point. And you had to say, wait a minute, that's not right. And then you have to start taking it out and fixing and correcting it in your own head. But the sad part is, a lot of you haven't even realized that you think that way. A lot of you haven't even realized that you still generalize and you still look down on people of color. A lot of you haven't done the work. You really need to do the work. Because you're walking around like, oh, you're perfect. But at the end of the day, you still think like a MAGA. Yeah, because you haven't done the work. So, anyways, low racial self-esteem is a huge problem, you guys. And not only that, but you're sucking up to white people. And the truth is, they don't like you. No offense, but they don't like you. They're never going to see you the way you want them to. Hold on, let me get my bread. My cheese bread. But they're never going to see you the way you want them to see you. A lot of them haven't even unpacked their internalized racism, and so they still see everyone, people of color, as accessories or as the sidekick. Never the main character. So, if they haven't even unpacked their own racism, how are you looking to them for acceptance? You have to learn to accept yourself and love yourself before you can expect that from anyone else. And so they have their own version of racism they have to unpack because they were actually the perpetrators and the aggressors. But people of color, POCs, you were the victims in this, but you still have to unpack. So everybody's unpacking something. Everyone should be unpacking something. And that's the only way we're going to get past all this white supremacy stuff, is unpacking it, how it formed your views, how it made you look at other people, how you see it in your day-to-day life, because you see it in your day-to-day life. You see it in things that you do all day, every day. You see it shows up several times, even when you just see someone and you think, what's their job? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? If that was a white person, would you say, what's their job? You wouldn't. See? So you have internalized stereotypical racist view. You have to deal with that. And so that's where we should be. We should all be dealing with that and unpacking it. But this low racial self-esteem has affected everyone. No one has gotten off, and it really needs to be addressed, and we really need to be unpacking it. So anyways, let me get to my bread, child. All right, carry on.